guys, it's Stephanie. Welcome back to our channel. In today's video, I have shopped my stash and I've chosen some products that have either just been sitting in my collection that I haven't tried yet, or they're products that I just don't reach for because they're not the easiest to use, or I've just found something better. So if you're interested in seeing the products I've chosen and how they perform on my skin, then keep on watching. So I do not have a very large makeup collection by any means. Many of these products that I've chosen are samples from Ipsy. Some of them I have purchased with my own money and I just don't reach for them anymore because I found other things that I like using more. Some of these products I haven't used because I'm a little afraid to try them on my skin. So one of those products that I have been a little scared to use on my skin is a primer, and it is this Too Faced Hangover Replenishing Primer. So the reason why I've been afraid to try this primer is because it's a hydrating primer, and typically with me, since I have oily skin, hydrating primers mean glowy primers that usually have some kind of oil or other hydrating ingredient in them that just makes my oily skin look even worse throughout the day. So that's the reason why I've been really nervous to try this. But I saw one of my favorite YouTubers, Stephanie Lang, use this, and she also has really oily skin. So when I saw her try this, and she said that she's been trying it for a while and she really likes it, and she's one that doesn't use primers ever, period, but she was using this and she really liked it, and she has oilier skin than I do. So I'm gonna try it today. We'll see, maybe this could be a new favorite primer that has been sitting in my collection for a while that I've just been too afraid to try on my skin, and I could just feel really stupid after this because this is amazing and I could have been using it this whole time. But we're gonna give it a try and see how it goes and how it feels on my skin. Obviously I just have the sample size. The normal size of this comes in, I think it was 1.3 ounces or something, and it's $34. So on the one hand, I'm hoping this works and I do like it, but on the other hand, I'm hoping I don't fall in love with it because I'm not in a position to be spending $34 on a primer. So still gonna give it a try though and see how it goes. It is pretty liquidy. It's not creamy. This has coconut water and probiotics in it to revitalize your skin. It doesn't smell like coconut to me at all, but it is supposed to be very hydrating and it's supposed to have a lot of benefits for your skin. And basically the website said it's supposed to be like an energy drink for your skin, and it's also supposed to make your makeup last longer. So it's supposed to provide like a flawless base for your makeup to sit on to make your makeup last a long time, which is the purpose of any other primer too. I liked that going on. I thought it went on quickly. It kind of has a weird scent, but I don't know, I don't usually pay too much attention to the scents of makeup just because I'm not used to makeup smelling particularly good. But it felt like I was just putting on a like a lightweight moisturizer. That was all it felt like. So we'll see how it looks and how it holds up. So far so good. It's still a little bit tacky. So I'm going to give it a minute to soak into my face. And while my primer is soaking in, I'm going to go ahead and prime my eyes. I don't have any eye primer that just sits in my collection that I haven't used in a while. The only eye primer I have is my MAC Pro Longwear Paint Pot. I use this every day. I don't have any other eye primer in my collection. So I'm going to put this on and set it down with some powder, and then I will be right back to do my foundation next. Alright, so I just finished priming my eyes. The primer seems to have soaked into my skin, so it soaked in pretty quickly. Now it is time for foundation, and today I'm going to be using the Pure 4-in-1 Love Your Selfie Longwear Foundation and Concealer. The reason why I haven't used this is my first time using this today, and I think the reason why I haven't used this before is because when I got this from Ipsy, because this was in one of my Ipsy bags from a few months ago, when I got this, I was so set and sold on using my CoverGirl BB cream for my foundation every day. That was my go-to and still is my go-to every day. So when I got this, I was like, oh, interesting, a foundation, but then I just never reached for it or wanted to try it because I was like, well, I have my BB cream. It is so easy to use. I love how it makes my skin look. So why am I going to switch it up and try an actual foundation over this BB cream that I have that I love so much. So I think that's why I just didn't reach for it. Not because there's anything in this that I'm particularly scared of, but just looking on the website, it said, oh, I have the shade LN2, by the way, which I have not seen. I don't know if it's gonna be good, if it's gonna be too dark, too light. We'll find out. But just looking at the website, it said that this is supposed to be long wearing, long lasting, and it's supposed to have, oh, I think I'm gonna be able to get away with putting this on with my fingers. It is supposed to have a natural skin-like finish, but it doesn't say anything about the level of coverage. It says you're supposed to be able to use it as a concealer. So if you're supposed to be able to use a product as a concealer, you would think that it would have some pretty good coverage. So we'll see. I got it on my fingers. Let's see how this goes. And that could have just been way too much if this is, wow, that is light. If this is a full coverage foundation, I could have just gotten way too much on my fingers. It feels thicker on my face than it does on my hands. So I think what I'm gonna do, I need to wipe off my hands. I think what I'm gonna do is actually blend this out with a brush. And that's actually how it was suggested on their website too. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna use a flat top kabuki brush to blend this out. Juju was dreaming. Anyway. Can you hear him? Must be chasing squirrels in his sleep. Oh my goodness. Okay, so the foundation is on. The shade is definitely too light, but it had really good coverage. Yeah, I would say this is a full coverage foundation, which makes sense if it's also supposed to be a concealer too. And I definitely agree with the natural finish. There is some glow from the foundation, but it's not too much, like doesn't look oily, which I appreciate. I love the way it looks, especially around my pores. It's done a really good job of blurring those out. Sorry, Juju is dreaming and he is really going after something. Anyway, it's done a really good job of blurring out my pores and making my skin look a lot smoother. Obviously, the coverage is nice, so my skin tone has really been evened out. I like it. We'll see how it lasts throughout the day, if it gets like super oily really quickly or if it stays matte throughout the day, especially since I didn't use a mattifying primer underneath. But first impressions, I like the coverage, I like the way that it blurred out my skin, and I like the finish of it. So far so good. I think that one, if it lasts throughout the day, this one is a winner for me. Now it's time for concealer, and for concealer I'm going to be using the Morphe concealer in the shade C1.25. This is a very brightening concealer on me because of the shade especially, but that might actually be okay today since my foundation is too light for me. But this concealer is okay. It's not my favorite, which is why I don't reach for it. It's not super creamy, and it also, I don't know, I just feel like it looks kind of dry under my eyes. So I don't know, for those reasons, I just don't usually reach for it unless I'm in the mood to go back and try it again to see if my thoughts have changed at all. But it's just okay. And I don't think, it's not a full coverage concealer. So especially with a foundation like this, where the foundation is full coverage, usually I like to wear full coverage concealers with full coverage foundations because it just looks a little strange when you have a full coverage foundation and then like a medium coverage concealer under your eyes, because then you're gonna have like dark circles coming through underneath and it just looks a little strange. But I don't hate this concealer. It's okay. I don't think it performs well enough for me to reach for it every day. I feel like this is a thicker formula too, which isn't always my favorite, but it looks okay. And I think it does the job. It just doesn't yeah, it just doesn't look great up close. It creases almost immediately. It looks kind of like patchy and separated almost a little bit. It looks worse than I remember it looking. I have not used this concealer in a little while, and now I remember why. It's also clinging on to some dry patches of my skin that I have right under my eyes. This is not my favorite. All right, time for powder. And the powder that I'm going to be using today is the Maybelline Fit Me Loose Finishing Powder in the shade 05 Fair. There is nothing wrong with this powder. I really like this powder. The shade is a bit light, so I typically only use this powder under my eyes to brighten them and to set the concealer down. Again, maybe because the shade of this foundation is a little bit too light for me, this could work if I need to powder some other places of my skin today. But I really like this powder. The only reason why I have stopped using it is because I have started using the Nakia Joy Cosmetics Velvet Finishing Powder, which I would say has the same mattifying power as this, but the only difference between the two of those powders is that Nakia Joy powder blurs out my skin so much more than this one does. So that is why I have switched to using the Nakia Joy powder over this one, but I still really like this one, especially if I'm just going to be using it under my eyes. It's just really nice. It sets everything down, it brightens. So I love this one. I've just found something a little bit better, but I have absolutely no problem going back and using this one because I still really like it. All right, powder is done. I used it to set under my eyes and in my T-zone, and it looks great. It worked so well. I've got to pull this back out and start using it some more, maybe switch it out with my Nakia Joy powder, because this one, it really is a really good powder and it is drugstore affordable. I got to start using this again. It's very good. Okay, eyeshadow time. For eyeshadow today, I'm going to be using this Pacifica Wild Hemp Infused Eyeshadow Palette. It looks like this. I like this palette, but the reason why I don't reach for it is just because this shade is not quite dark enough to be a transition shade for me. This shade is too dark to be a transition shade, and the other three shades are all shimmer shades, which I never use in my crease. So I like using the shimmer shades in this palette on my lid, but these other two shades, I mean, I could use this one to darken looks, especially using it in the outer corner of my eye, but there isn't a shade in this palette with my skin tone that works as a transition shade. So I think what I'm gonna do is first, I'm going to try to build up this shade in my crease and see if I can get it dark enough to be a transition shade. If not, I may have to use something else or dip into my bronzer to put in my crease today, but that's the main reason why. It's just, I like palettes where there is all of the shades that I need and use are all in one place. I don't know, I don't like having to use more than one eyeshadow. At least that's kind of how I've been feeling recently, or more than one palette. Did I say eyeshadow or palette? I can't remember. I like having all of the shades that I need in one palette. If I'm going to use a palette, I want it to have everything that I need, and this one just doesn't. So we're gonna see if I can build this shade up in the crease. And again, the shimmer shades are nice in this palette. I just don't like having to switch between palettes to get all of the shades that I need. All right, it is kind of building up. I can see a difference between this eye and my other eye, but I'm not sure if it's going to build up as much as I need it to. All right, so I couldn't get that light matte shade to build as much as I wanted, so I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna give this a try. I'm going to put just a little bit of this dark matte brown shade on my brush and try to deepen up that transition color in my crease. This could turn out terribly wrong if this is super pigmented, but what's there now is just not deep enough. Okay, I barely dipped my brush in that shade and it is rather dark. So the shades do seem to be pigmented in this palette, which is nice. They're just not exactly the shades that I need or that I use on an everyday basis. They're not the perfect shade for me, I'll put it that way. Not exactly what I was going for. I know it's a little too warm for what I wear on an everyday basis, but it's there. All right, moving on. I think I'm gonna use this shade here in the middle. I think this shade is called Smoky Quartz. So I'm gonna take this on my finger and I'm gonna put it all over my lid. Okay. It's pretty. Not quite as shimmery. It's more satiny than shimmery. It is a pretty shade. Again, just not quite what I typically like. I usually like my shimmer shades on my lid to be very shimmery so that they catch the light really easily, which is why most often I use a highlight on my lid instead of a shimmer eyeshadow for that reason in particular, because they catch the light so well and they really stand out. I mean, this is pretty. It's just not the level of shimmer that I usually like on my lid. So if you like warm toned eyeshadow and the shades work for your skin tone or just the look that you typically like to do, this could be great. These shades are just not what I reach for on an everyday basis, so I just don't use this very often. Moving on to eyeliner. This is another sample that I got from Ipsy. This is the Galactic Precise Eyeliner Marker in the shade Black Noir. It says long wearing and smudge proof. We shall see. Oh, also there was fallout from that eyeshadow palette, so let me just get rid of that. All right, here we go. Nope, don't like that. Oh my goodness. I mean, we got there in the end, but it is certainly not my cleanest liner. And man, that was not easy to use. I'm used to using like more of a brush tip with the Physicians Formula one. This is a marker tip. So I feel like with this one, I'm having to stamp it on instead of brush it on. And it's so much harder to control when you have to do that. Ugh, I do not like this one. I will use it on this eye, and then this is gonna get donated because nope, I don't like it. Okay, wow, I hated this. If you are used to more brush tips or even like felt tips, that's not just this straight like marker tip, oh, stay away from this one. Not good. Not good. All right, for my lower lash line today, I'm going to be using the CoverGirl Perfect Point Plus eye pencil in the shade 200 Black Onyx. This was always my go-to pencil eyeliner for the longest time until I found that Araceli gel pencil liner. This was a good liner, except that it would fade off my waterline really quickly, and that Araceli one just doesn't. It stays in place the whole day until I take it off, and I love that about it. So this one has just kind of been knocked off the shelf by that Araceli liner because of how much longer it lasts. This one is very black. It does the job, but if you need it to stay in place all day, it won't do that. That's kind of why I don't reach for this one anymore. It just doesn't stay as long as I want it to. Still gonna use it today, and I do still use it from time to time, especially if I start to run low on that Araceli one. I keep this as a backup because it does do the job, just not as well. And I'm gonna do this off camera because sometimes it freaks people out to like see putting eyeliner on your inner waterline. So I'm gonna do this part off camera and I'll be right back. All right, so bottom liner is done. It looks really nice. This is super black. However, it's not all going to be there tonight when I go to take my makeup off, and that is why I don't reach for this one anymore. That's it. All right, now I'm gonna move on to brows. I don't really have a brow pencil that I don't reach for, or that I don't like, because I typically only keep one brow pencil in my collection at a time. My favorite is the Maybelline Ultra Slim brow pencil. But like I said in my last video, Ulta was sold out of the shade I needed, so I got this LA Girl Shady Slim brow pencil. If you saw my last video, you saw I'm still not sure exactly how I feel about this one, so I'm gonna use this one again today just to keep testing it out. I'm not out of my Maybelline brow pencil yet, so I have still been reaching for my Maybelline one over this one just because I didn't fall in love with this one immediately. I kind of already haven't really been reaching for this one, but we'll see. When that one runs out, I'm gonna use this one up until it's gone, unless for some reason I really hate it, and then I'll try another one. Anyway, here we go. All right, I think just based on using this a second time, there are two problems that I can tell right away. The first is the shade. The shade is warmer than I am used to, and so I think that is throwing me off. If I were to buy this again, I would definitely look for a different shade that is a little bit more cool toned, because it has a slight orange tinge to it, and that bothers me. The second problem I have with this is, I think, the formula of the actual pencil. It's a bit waxier and drier than I'm used to, and drier than I like. So the Maybelline brow pencil is definitely a lot creamier, which just makes it faster and easier to work with. Because this is waxier and drier, it's taking me longer to get the definition and get the color on my brows, and that's bothering me. So like I said, I will keep using this once that Maybelline brow pencil is finally gone, but I don't know. My opinion isn't strong enough to say that I hate this, so I will keep using it. I don't think I will get rid of it, but this is certainly not my favorite. I can say that. 3 years later, my brows are done. Also, quick foundation update. I don't know if you can see, but I don't like what's happening on my forehead with lines that I have up there. That's not cool. I'm gonna try to smooth that out with my sponge. Okay, well, I don't like that I've had this foundation on for probably 20 minutes at this point, and I have already had to touch up where my lines are on my forehead. That's not cool. I don't like that. Moving on. Mascara. So this is another sample I got from Ipsy. This is the Thrive Cosmetics Liquid Lash Extensions Mascara in the shade Rich Black. I have heard about this mascara all over social media for a long time. I think the reason why I have not reached for this is kind of like this is supposed to be a tubing mascara, and that kind of freaks me out. Also, with this mascara, because it's a tubing mascara, to get the tubes off, you're supposed to be able to go over them with just warm water and like kind of scrub them off. This is gonna sound super lazy, but if I use a mascara where an oil cleanser does not get it off, and I have to, even if it's just water, like if my normal cleanser or makeup remover cannot remove it, I don't want to use it. Like I have a makeup remover that I like, that I want to use to remove my makeup, and if makeup doesn't come off with that makeup remover, I don't want to use it. So this could look really good. I will just have to get over myself and use warm water to take these off, but it just sounds like an extra step, and it kind of already stinks to have to do the steps at night to like take off your makeup, cleanse your face, get your face ready for bed. I don't know. That's probably just me being super lazy, but that's why I haven't reached for it, is because I'm lazy and I don't want to add an extra step of scrubbing with warm water to take these tubes off my lashes, when with my regular mascara I can just use my oil cleanser, it comes right off, and then I just cleanse my face and I'm done. So just me being lazy, but here we go. All right, it's on. I can't say that I noticed a difference between this mascara and my favorite Essence Lash Princess False Lash Effect mascara. So if my Essence mascara is giving me the same kind of results as a tubing mascara, but that mascara comes off with regular makeup remover, I don't have to use this. Hence why I haven't been reaching for it, because my other mascara does the same thing, works just as well, gives me the same look, and I don't have an extra step at the end of the night to take it off. So there we go. Now, I am not gonna put a tubing mascara on my bottom lashes because I don't need that. For my lower lashes, I'm going to use the Benefit Roller Lash Mascara just to give them some definition. There we go. All right, moving on. We are almost there, guys. I feel like this video is forever long, but just have blush, bronzer, highlight, and lips left. That's it. For bronzer today, I'm going to be using the Ofra Cosmetics bronzer in the shade Americano. The only reason I think that I haven't been reaching for this is just because it is a much deeper shade than I'm used to using for bronzer. I usually use the Maybelline City bronzer, and look at the difference between these two shades. Like, I really like this one because it looks very natural on my skin. This one I just don't reach for because it's, like I said, it's a lot deeper than I'm used to using. And also, there is a little bit of shimmer in this. I don't usually like shimmery bronzers. I don't know, just with my oily skin, the way that it catches the light, it can kind of make my skin look oily instead of bronzy, shimmery. So that's really why I don't really reach for this one, is just because the shade is so much darker than I'm used to. So I'm going to use a very little bit of this, and Ofra's products are typically very pigmented anyway, like their highlighters, and clearly this bronzer. I mean, that, wow, look at that. It's just so much darker. Like, it looks nice, but it's such a deep shade. I always, like, even if I dip my brush in twice and tap off the excess, I feel like it just looks too dark. I mean, this side, but then even that doesn't seem like where I put it over here, like right here seems too dark, but then it's not blending down, and it's just not the easiest bronzer to use, and especially because of the shade, I don't know. This one is not my favorite. It takes time to work with it. All right, I'm gonna bring some up to my forehead. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. It's so deep and pigmented. Okay, put a little on my nose too. Okay, so trick if you ever put on too much bronzer or just need to tone things down, just take a powder brush, fluffy powder brush without anything on it, or if you used a sponge to put your foundation on, you can also go over it with your sponge and just tone it down a little bit. But my goodness, that's better. I think that's as toned down as it's going to get today, but that looks much better. And I do have to say, with that warm toned bronzer with my warm toned eyes, it does look nice together. It's just that bronzer is just not the easiest for me to work with, and that's why I just don't reach for it that often. Okay, moving on. Milani blush in the shade Luminoso, cult favorite blush. And I really do like this blush. It is very pretty. I like the peachy shade of it. The reason why I don't reach for it often, I do still reach for this, but the reason why I don't reach for it often is because it is a glowy blush. It has a shimmer to it, like a golden kind of shimmer to it. So because of that, sometimes I feel like the glow is a little bit too much, or it's not exactly where I want it. So I have to go in with a very light hand with this. It is really pretty, and usually when I wear this, I end up not wearing highlighter with it just because of the glow in the blush, but I still do want to wear highlighter today, so I'm just going in with a very light hand. Also, it is a very pigmented blush. It packs a punch, so you should probably go in with a light hand anyway, but it is a very pretty blush. I just don't typically reach for glowy blushes on an everyday basis, but it is pretty. And the glow, if you go in with a light hand and don't put too much on, it can look very pretty and natural. Like, I do like the way that looks. It's just something that you have to be a little bit more careful with. So I do reach for that one. Again, it's just not a daily blush for me. All right, highlighter and then lips. We are almost there. So for highlighter today, I'm going to be using the IBY Beauty Radiant Glow highlighter in the shade Pink Pearl. There's nothing wrong with this highlighter. There's also nothing super special about it. Like, I have other highlighters that I love that I think impress me a little bit more than this one does. And so that's why I don't reach for it. I think this one does a nice job. It does highlight, it does catch the light, and there is definitely a glow. I have other highlighters that I like more. And so that's why I don't reach for this one. There's nothing really wrong with it. There's also nothing about it that really captures my attention. I will put some on the inner corner of my eyes and under my brow bone. All right, and finally for lips today, I'm going to be going in with the Milani lipstick in the shade Nude Creme. It looks like this. It smells interesting. It smells kind of floral in a way. It is nice and creamy. Man, I don't know why I don't reach for that one more often. That is beautiful. It's creamy and it feels comfortable on the lips. It's a nice shade for my skin tone, not too pink, not too orangey or peachy. I gotta use that more. I think the reason why I don't reach for this one more is just because I always end up thinking that it's going to be more pink than I want it to be, but now that I see it on my lips, it's not. It's not too pink and it looks really nice. So this is another one. I gotta start reaching for it more because it is beautiful. So here is the finished look. Not bad. I think it all came together nicely. This was a lot of fun. fun. I liked going back through my collection and just picking out things that either I hadn't used at all or I haven't used in a while, and just to see what my thoughts are on these products that I chose. So I had a lot of fun doing this. I just want to mention a couple products and give my kind of final thoughts on them. This liquid liner, stay away from. I hated this. I hated it. I will not be using this again. It was not easy to use at all. Hated it. Yuck. However, this foundation, I will try this again. Like I said, I liked the coverage. I liked the finish on my skin. However, I didn't like that after about 20 minutes of wearing it, I already had to touch it up on my forehead with those lines. I will say I like the way it looks on my skin from here down. I don't really like the way that it looks on my forehead. I think it looks a little bit dry and just not the best on my forehead. So I will give this another try and see how it goes, maybe using a different primer and powder over top. Like from here down, it looks great. On my forehead, not so much. So I'm not sure about this one yet. I am very curious and will definitely keep trying this Too Faced Hangover Primer. I'm interested to see if it keeps this makeup on and helps it last longer today. But I'm interested to use this with some of my favorite foundations and even with my favorite CoverGirl BB cream to see if it makes a difference on the finish or the lasting time of those foundations. So I will continue to use this and see what I think about it. And I found two products today that I will move kind of towards the front of my collection and just reach for more often because I forgot how good they are. So the first one that I will start reaching for more often is the Fit Me powder. Again, like I said, it looks so nice. I think it has the same mattifying power as my current favorite powder, and it is pretty blurring on my skin. So I need to bring this out and start using it more because it is a great powder, especially when all I have to do is powder under my eyes. This does a great job at that and blurring things, and so I am definitely going to be using this more often. And I'm also going to be using the Milani lipstick in Nude Creme much more often because it's such a nice shade and the formula is so creamy and comfortable. There's almost a gloss to it in the light. It looks so nice. So I definitely am going to be using this one some more. And yeah, this was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing it. I hope you liked it too. Thank you so much for watching. If you are someone who just likes putting makeup on for fun, because why not? Maybe give this a try and go through your makeup collection and see if there are any products that you either haven't tried yet or products that you haven't used in a long time that you want to bring out, that you want to give another try and see if your thoughts have changed at all. This is just a really good way to use new makeup, not new to you, but just use makeup that you haven't used in a while. And it kind of does feel like shopping. It kind of does feel like you're using new makeup without having to spend any money. So I would suggest give this a try in your own makeup collections. It's a lot of fun. You might enjoy it too. If you like this video, you can give it a thumbs up and comment down below. Make sure that you also click the subscribe button and that notification bell so you are notified the next time I upload a video. I hope you all are staying safe and healthy, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye!